Our last talk for today is going to be Gustavo. Gustavo is going to talk about how you define your next tech stack in your app. Stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. Um, so just to check, like, how much time do we have still? Like 20 minutes. Okay, all good. Yeah, how's everybody doing tonight? Cool. Nice. Ready for the last talk. First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I know it's kind of like a overwhelming time a little bit in the industry. So yeah, it's really amazing to see that people still get together to learn things, and I'm really honored to be here and trying to share a little bit about an experience from a project that I worked on and I'm still working on. Yeah, so today I'm gonna talk about how you define your tech stack. So yeah, I'm Gustavo. I'm a staff front-end engineer at Thinkific. I'm from Brazil. I live in Vancouver for 4 years now. Um, and Thinkific is an education platform. It's a company based in Vancouver, and we basically we sell a platform for creators and educators to sell their content online. So it's like if you want to create a course or a community where people can learn, you can use Thinkific. And we are also hiring. I was waiting for this moment also to share this. I don't. It's not like we're not hiring for my team, so I don't know too much about the positions, but I know that we have a site reliability engineer, staff level, and we have a senior full stack engineer. Yeah, we can chat later if you want. I can share with you a little bit about what I know about the stack and all of that, but it's not on my team. But I encourage you to check the page and yeah, see if that aligns with you. All right, so let's go straight to the topic then. So defining what? Tech stack, right? Does everybody know what's tech stack? Okay, someone doesn't know? It's all good to not know. We are here. We're all here to learn. All right. Yes, you got this. Yeah, basically when you everyone who worked in a project or in a company that, especially the company that was not founded right now, like it's like maybe a product that has like 5, 6 years old or more than that, you see that like at some point the tech stack was defined. Maybe in the middle of a chaos, like we never know, but someone made a choice to like what technologies would be used behind um, a product. And that could be really simple. And back in the beginning of the web, it would be something like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and you can build a website with that. You can build a web project with that. You can still build a project with that, like really good one. But you can add stuff to it, depending on your requirements, on what you wanted to achieve. You can add like React or Vue.js or Tailwind if you don't want to work straight with CSS. And it keeps growing and growing and growing. Can get overwhelming as well, but it's also fun. Like a bunch of interesting tools out there. Um, but like in my whole career, like I'm doing this for more than 15 years now. Yeah, I know I'm old. Um, I like rarely where like I worked in a place where people had dedicated time to discuss and to define a tech stack. It's usually like, 10 years ago, a guy started working on this project, and at that time, someone say that React was fun, and they just, okay, let's do React or Angular or whatever. And yeah, but recently, like 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to define a brand new tech stack for a project that we know, like we knew at the time that was going to be a project that we need to support in the long term. So I'm talking about years, maybe decades. And we had some time to do some research, and I learned a lot through this process, and that's what I want to share with you tonight. So maybe in your next project, you have the opportunity as well. And maybe by going through this tonight, you can also try to convince your team to dedicate some more time in working on a little bit more on the definition of your tech stack. So how do we make these decisions about like what should we use? Like it's quite overwhelming, right? Like so many front-end libraries out there for all the different kinds of problems. And I think the first thing that we need to do is to understand the requirements of your project. So there was always this story about Netflix. I don't even know if it's true. Who cares? Like we're living in a post-truth area, you know, so truth doesn't matter anymore. But I really like this story still. Maybe it's true. So I heard like a lot of like from different people telling about this case that Netflix they were using a front end, like a very modern front end. Oh my God, sorry. A very modern front end library at some point. I don't know if it was React or jQuery, you know, but it was like modern, but also very heavy, right, to load. And they noticed that when people, like most of the people that access Netflix, like the sign up part of it, they actually had like a completely different setup for their computer. Because like if you're accessing Netflix to watch a movie, you probably have like a better computer which can handle like more modern JavaScript and all of that. But they also noticed that this is the story that they tell, okay? But they noticed that, and it makes sense. Like some people were just like, they have a nice TV, but they don't use that much computer. Like if you think about like more like at that time, like more old people, they had like, okay, I have this old computer here. And they would use Netflix, like the website, just to sign up to put their credit card on. So they might not have like a very nice computer. So the story says that Netflix that decided to go out of this modern JavaScript library just on the sign up part, just on the part that you pay and you register a credit card. So it's like the same product, the same company, but very different audiences, and that also requires a different tech stack. Yeah, and also just more recent, and this one is real. I don't know if you have heard of Proton, but Proton is a product like, it's a company that they have a bunch of products like Mails and Drive. It's kind of like a competitor for the Google Suite. And they just announced this like a month ago that they're rebuilding their mobile app. And they're basically talking about tech stack and like they have some requirements here. So for example, they want to reduce the cost and the time required to ship, maintain, and evolve their Proton Mail app for iOS and Android. And also, they are worried about performance and interaction quality as well, so user experience in general. And they want this tech stack to be like long-lived, avoiding third-party dependencies on things that can get discontinued by a different vendor or something like that. And now jump back to my project that I've worked on. So we were building a brand new design system to support like a bunch of apps at Thinkific. And these were our requirements. So we didn't have to decide about the JavaScript framework because a while ago, a decision was made at the company that we would use React whenever it's possible. So we were assuming that because all of our apps were using React, that the design system would be using that as well. But there was like a bunch of other decisions to make, like how we're going to build and distribute this design system. What about documentation or styles or accessibility testing? Because this design system must be accessible was one of the other requirements for that. And also, like, how do we handle the snapshots testing or unit testing to make sure that the components are working well? And also design tokens, that was a requirement from the design team that we need to connect to what they are using to build the designs on Figma. Yeah, so the first thing to know, it's not about you, it's not about your personal preferences. When I joined this process, I was pretty sure that I was gonna choose a specific CSS library, like styled components, because I was working with styled components for a while in other projects in the company. And I was like, yeah, I love that, really cool. but it's not about that. Like you need to understand the whole context and like all the challenges and things that you were considering. So one of the requirements as well for us is that it must work well with server-side rendering, like React server-side rendering. And at that time, a styled component was not working well with server-side rendering. So we need to do a research, right? And one thing that helps a lot is like to get out and like try to find some surveys. This one is one of my favorites, called the State of JS. It's like every year they do this survey with like a bunch of engineers, like more than 10,000 people answers across like the world. And they ask questions about like what kind of framework you're using, what you're considering to use in your next project. And it's really cool. Like it's really real data from people that are currently working in tech. They do have like a bunch of others, like state of AI, state of CSS. It's really interesting. I would spend, like, if you're curious about like what should you use in your next project, I would encourage you to, yeah, to go there and check it out. Sorry, if I'm going too fast, like just let me know. English is not my first language, so if you don't understand something, just raise your hand. I can try to say that again. Yeah, so this one example like of this research for like they have all the kinds of libraries, but front-end frameworks, for example, you can see the usage. React is adopted by like it's used by 85% of the people that answered this question. But when it comes to satisfaction, actually people are preferring Solid, and then in the second place is Svelte, and then Vue.js, and React is actually in the sixth position. It's really cool. It changed over time. You can see that React was like in the very first place in terms of satisfaction in 2019, and it's just decreasing, but it's still in a good position. Like 72% of people are satisfied with React still. And yeah, and they do have like, as I say, like for testing libraries and all of that. It's really exciting to see like and get more detail into real data. It's real data. Sometimes data can also be cruel, like very, very real and quite depressing. There's like 10,000 people answered this and like 93% men. So yeah, March, yeah. Okay, another thing that you can do is to check your like other projects that are similar to what you're building, right? So if you're building a music streaming app, you can try to go out there and see what else those other companies are using. There's an app, like an extension for your browser called Webalizer. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And you can just run this extension and check it out, like what technologies are behind that website. So it's very helpful. As you can see, Netflix is not using React or, I don't know, not even jQuery anymore. But yeah, I think Netflix has actually a post on their engineering blog, and they mention how they dropped they are not using React anymore, and that helped them increasing the speed of the page load by like 50% or something like that. So I think they made a decision to get off of React. But you can check, and let's play a game. So raise your hand if you think that this app uses React, okay? All right, ready? Airbnb. React. Okay, majority doesn't think that it uses React or doesn't want to play, but it's fine. Yeah, it's React. Who guessed it, won it. It's gonna have a prize by the end. No, just joking. Apple TV, like the Netflix by Apple. React. No one thinks it uses React. Wow. Yeah, it's Svelte. You know what is Svelte? Yeah. Well, how about React, the documentation of React? It is used React? Should be. It's actually Next.js, but yeah, technically React as well. Apparently React is not good enough to create the React page. No, just joking. I love React. Air Canada. React. Yeah, Angular. It's just like, whoa, what happened?
Which one of them?
17. Is not bad? Okay. Spotify, React. Okay. Yeah, it is React. Wikipedia, React. No, why? jQuery. Oh my god. Vue.js, actually. That was surprising. I thought they didn't use anything. Um, yeah, how about Facebook? React? Well, you can't actually trust 100% on this too, because if, like, I'm pretty sure Facebook is probably using React to render the page on the server, and so you can't see that, right? Like, if the rendering is happening on the server side, you don't have access to the library. I think the way that extension works is basically trying to grab, like, the library being used on the browser. So if it's not on the client side, you can't see. But I'm pretty sure Facebook uses React. I hope so. Yeah, but I did try with, like, Instagram, like like I did the login and all of that, and what's similar to this? So not sure. All right. So the next step, look, so once you go out there, you check the surveys, like you try to figure it out what's going on, like what people are using or what people are excited about to try to use, like new technologies and all of that. Check the competitors, see what people are using, and then you start something that I call tech investigation. So you take all of those interesting toolings, like you try to compare that with your requirements and see what plays better for your use case. So this is an example of what we did at Thinkific. So for each one of those topics that I showed you before, the things that we need to find a solution for, we created a document. This is Confluence. You can do that, whatever, like even like paper. But basically, like setting the requirements for that specific aspect that you're trying to find a solution. And then you decide on the toolings based on your research on what you wanted to investigate, right? And the way that you investigate it is just try it, right? Like you go and try the solution and try to get as many insights from it as you can. So we did that for everything, like build and distribution, styles, and all that. And this is how the research page looked like for us. So, for example, we were researching about SaaS, and we had like a summary about like the weekly downloads, latest version, the package health. I'm gonna talk about that later. The age of this package and like how many contributors out there, like the license and like some. So for the package health, actually we're using this platform called Sneak, I think. I don't know if I know how to pronounce that, but it's really helpful. You can put there like any npm package, and it can give you like some really exciting, some really interesting data, like in terms of security, popularity, maintenance, and the community. Like what is the commit frequency and like weekly downloads, so you can see like if you can rely or not on that technology. That's very helpful, especially like for new technology or something they're trying to experiment that your team is not confident with. And then like we're trying to summarize that for the team, like with some pros and cons about the technology that we are researching, a brief overview, and then like some code example for people to understand how that tool works. We're trying to explore on the GitHub also, like how is the activity, how well maintained it is, and the bundle size. This is also, for us, it was really important. There is also this website called Bundlephobia. You can also type any npm package there, and it's going to show you something like this, like the bundle size, minified, and also like the composition of this package if it uses other package. So it's really helpful when you're doing this kind of research and investigation. So yeah, as I say, like we did that for every single aspect, and also inside every single aspect we were doing for every single tool that we thought was worth investigating. Yeah, so this is vanilla extract CSS, another, and it was the one that we decided by the end because it's very similar to styled components. You can use JavaScript, TypeScript actually, but it has zero runtime because that was one of the main problems with styled components for us. And for our project, this project in particular, this worked really, really well. But yeah, you can see like the bundle size in comparison with the SAS is like really small. Yeah, so we did that, as I said, for everything. And then the next step is to socialize that. So you share with your team, try to get as many people involved in this, like people that are going to use your solution, like people that are going to build things in your tech stack, get them involved. And yeah, in particular, in our case, we have a process like Thinkific it's a big company, like medium size, I think, but we have like our engineering team is about 80 people, I think, at the, like 80, 100. So we have some processes like requests for comments, like RFCs. And at that time, we wrote down this RFC to try to get some feedback. So presenting all the results from our research to the definition that we're leaning towards. Don't wait too long to start to start socializing. My recommendation is like, as soon as you start working on the definition of the tech stack, like the very first step, like when you're doing your research still, like go and try to socialize. Like we changed so much our direction, our approach because like other people's feedback. So yeah, socialize. So this whole process, I guess you're like you're thinking about like, oh my god, this takes a lot, right? Like you need to understand, you need to get like deep data, you need to try every single tool and get your insights about it. And it took us about like 3 months. And it looked like, of course, not doing exclusively this, but like dedicating like a bunch of time doing that. And it looks a lot for sure. But when you compare now, we are 3 years working, serving the same design system, 3 years and counting. Like the design system is now like have more and more components. And when you compare like in this life cycle, yeah, we spent 3 months in a design system that already have like 3 years now, and it's probably going to live for more and more years, right? Our previous design system is probably, I don't know, almost 10 years old now or more than that. Okay, all good so far? Any questions so far? Okay. Or do you have a question?
Well, maybe in general, you didn't mention budget. Like, are you just going for free everything?
Free, what do you mean? Like
well, say, what are we going to put in our tech stack? What are you going to pay for those?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, this was not part of our research because we were just doing like all open source and free stuff. So there were like no options for in our research like for any paid library, but that's a good yeah. Oh, actually, there was one like for documentation. We were exploring between Storybook and Zero Height, and I remember that Zero Height, like for us to get what we need, it was a paid version, and at that time, like we decided to go with the Storybook because of that as well. So, but yeah, that's a good like that's how it works. Like if price like if cost like if you need to pay for it, to consider the price is also like another aspect that you need to put on your research, and that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's basically it. I think like one more thing is like I was trying to think about like what we could expect in the future when we're thinking about defining a tech stack. You know, if you do this process already, like the way that it is, or the way that we did, I think, talking from my experience, I think it's worth because, as I say, like you spend some time, but now we still have a project that everyone is really happy with the stack. It's working really well. It's resolving the problems that we had before with the other product that we had, like the other design system that people didn't have any time at all to work with the tech stack definition. So it's worthwhile. But I'm also thinking about like what in the future could change with this process, like for us to make what could impact in the decision making for a tech stack. So the first thing is accessibility for sure. It's becoming more and more like a reality for us to achieve, like to be compliant. No matter where you work, building digital products in the world, it's coming, and at some point you'll be like, it's going to be required from like at the government level for you to be compliant. So, for example, in Europe, June this like last year, it came in effect the Accessibility Act in Europe, and basically now like they have like some specific timelines for companies, like small companies and all of that. But basically, in the long term, like everyone should be compliant with WCAG. That's also is happening in Canada. Not so much like at the same level as the European Union yet. Like I think European Union is the most advanced in that aspect right now. But Canada, you can see like some provinces are going ahead. But at the government level in Canada, this is being already applied. United States as well, like there are some bills about accessibility, some changes that happened last year as well. So it's coming. And also the environmental impact. I think similar to accessibility, I foresee a future where like we need to be more and more responsible for the things that we build out there. Like your products, digital products are digital, but it has some impact in the environment because digital doesn't exist the way that we think it exists. Like it's not magic, right? It's consuming some resource to be there. And I think this is becoming more and more a thing that people are thinking about. And I can see, similar to accessibility, how governments around the world like I'm going to start to care about it, like to also require from companies to be more responsible in this aspect. And there is this tool, really interesting, called Website Carbon Calculator. And you can play with that. See like that page, like Wikipedia, for example, it gives a rate based on like the technology that it's used. So it's like a B. So it seems like it's not bad. This is cleaner than 79% of all web pages globally. But that's equivalent to like as much CO2 as boiling water for 179,000 cups of tea if you have like 1 million people accessing this page per month. That's in a year, right? Or 61 trees. That's the amount of trees required to absorb the carbon generated by this page being accessed by 1 million people. Or like 17,000 kilometers of an electric car just for this page to exist. And thinking about Airbnb, I'm guessing like it's worse than, it's more modern for sure than Wikipedia. Looks more beautiful, but it's actually like it's dirtier than 56% of all web pages globally. And I'm assuming, like, I'm pretty sure Airbnb has way more than 10 million monthly page views, but I'm being very, very cautious here, realistic, and like just putting 10 million, and it is crazy. Like 1,643 per year, and or maybe like 467,000 kilometers driving an electric car just for this website to exist. So those things, I think, are the things that we're going to be starting to worry more and more. It's a thing. So I can see how this also is going to affect on the tech stack definition in the future. And AI seems like every slide, like every talk should talk about this now. Um, yeah, I tried to ask like about which front-end tech stack should I use to build online video streaming as a Apple TV or Netflix. No matter what kind of product you're trying to build, the answer is always going to be React with TypeScript. Of course, you can try to be like ask smarter questions. So I tried like, okay, I want to build a medical appointment schedule to be accessed, including by people with slow internet connection. If you be more specific, maybe it's going to be more helpful. Like it started suggesting SvelteKit instead of React, but I think React was the second option. And it's like justifying that Svelte is actually way, way smaller than React. But again, like depending on the app, you don't even need to use Svelte, right? You can just build with like pure HTML or whatever. Yeah, so recap. Requirements, research, tech investigation, socialize. It's not about your personal preferences. It's not about the hype. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much.